Most? Jó, most hallatok. Tehát még mielőtt elkezdenénk, angol nyelven fog zajlani a beszélgetés, úgyhogy most tegye föl a kezét, akinek kell fordítás. És akkor a kollégák adnak készüléket. Tartsátok fönt a kezeteket, akiknek kell készülék. Jön. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to start the discussion to have time for questions and everything as well. So thank you so much for coming here, and thank you, Sasha, for coming to Budapest and traveling here. It's a real privilege to have you us here. Sasha is an artist, a musician, an activist, and a former prisoner of conscience from St. Petersburg, Russia. She was arrested in 2022 for a harmless act, replacing price tags in a grocery store with anti-war messages. In 2023, after a year-long trial, she was sentenced to 7 years in prison. We, Amnesty International, launched a global campaign for Sasha, and we collected solidarity letters and drew media attention to her case. In August 2024, Sasha was released through a prisoner exchange deal, along with several other detained individuals. Since then, she's been living in Berlin with Sonja, her partner. So what I wanted to have today is an hour or so, a discussion and me asking you questions about your life. And following that, I wanted to have 20 minutes or so for you to ask questions. And at the very end of the discussion, I wanted to make this place a space of solidarity. Everyone should have received a postcard with a child's drawing on it. Please keep it with you till the end of the discussion, and I'll tell you what to do with it. So actually, whenever someone introduces me, just like I did it to you, I feel that there is something off with that introduction, because they rather talk about how they think about you instead of how you think about yourself. So can you explain who are you and what should people know about you?
The first thing I want people to know about me is that I am a musician, but no one believes it because somehow I became famous for like other stuff I do. I don't know why, but it's like me. And second, I'm not an activist. I'm just a simple person who did civil acts. And actually, I don't like this story, like calling all the people who like did some protest action, activists, because otherwise we like Russian things that like, oh yes, these are activists, they should do their stuff, and I would be telling them how to do this stuff, because I'm not an activist. But my point is that every person in country should like do something if he or she feels that something is going wrong.
And before your arrest, what were you doing? What was your life before that?
Oh, it's like constant music, constant music and art, and like all my friends from like St. Petersburg underground and who are like really wild and so on. But in 2010 I was working as journalist, and I was filming all the protest action that took place that years, and even myself, I participated in a protest against homophobic laws that was invented in Russia in 2011, first in St. Petersburg, my home city, and I was one of like several like people, LGBTQ people, who were like protesting like near this like government office there. They first were discussing this law, and actually I want to tell this thing because I know here you also like have this law, or they like discussing it. You have this, and then in 2011, like not many people believed us that this is the first step to a totalitarian country and full-scale repressions. Even some people from LGBTQ community, they were saying like just, oh, what's the problem? We just won't be seen on the screen. So what? We are not seen on the screen like decades and like years, and but still it's evolving. First like this propaganda law for children, then propaganda law like for everyone, because everyone, as you see, could turn gay if he or she like see like LGBTQ, like not even children but adults also as like Russian government thing and want people to think. And now we have like this law which is calling LGBTQ community extremists, so you can be jailed just because you are gay. And that's literally it is, though they don't have like this law about like homosexuals, but they still do it, and they do it with all the hypocrisy they can that showed in the film, for example.
Yeah, so this is the 2010s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are getting close to 2022 when the war in Ukraine started. Can you talk about a bit about that? What was the feeling in Russia at that time, within your circles, and how you came up with the idea to replacing price tags to anti-war messages?
Okay. Actually, after 10th, I turned my head like off politics, and I was doing music and art, and like I decided not to like even think of it and enjoy freedom like when I could. So, but then the war started. Everything I could think was like war, and this feeling that I should do something, because I had some friends in Ukraine, not many, but like several years before full-scale invasion, I was working as a children counselor in a kids camp in Ukraine, like several weeks, but I don't want to be a hypocrite, you see, and I was like thinking, okay, I can go to jail for everything I do, because I didn't only do price tags. I was going to rallies. I was arrested for one rally, and I also were drawing anti-war postcards, and people were sending it to war counseling, like to say they're refusing to go to war. And I was throwing jamming for peace with a musician, and we were gathering money for like human rights defenders who are helping people who are in jail because of protest. But I never realized that I would be in jail because of like 5 pieces of paper. You see, I also participated in some folk action that was invented by feminist anti-war resistance. This was like a first organization that took step against the war. Of course, women. So when men were like silent at the beginning. So they spread this little maquette with papers like exactly reminding price tags like from the shop, but instead of the name of a product, there were like messages just about like people who killed in war, about like that this war like is propaganda and you shouldn't like believe this and so on. Because I realized that people, because there was like this paranoid feeling, this like absurd feeling, because like the day the war had started, I was like really angry on like this war and this decision of my government to like fight with my friends, to bomb, to kill my friends on my behalf. I was okay, like jail, but otherwise I wouldn't be capable to look at the eyes of these kids. You see, like several kids, but it's not matter for me how like many people. I didn't replace it. I didn't steal anything from the shop actually. Like, and people say like, it would be better if I steal something from the shop. I wouldn't get 7 years for this.
And how did it turn out? How did they find out that it was you who placed those price tags?
Surveillance. After I put these price tags in the shop, actually I was stuffed this in every shop I met on my way somewhere, but I was really lucky they found only 5 in one shop. So, and after I like put this, after I put this stuff in the shop, I went to my friend's house, which was like near this shop, and they just and then several days before this, one old lady, she saw one of the price tags and she was mad. She was really mad. She was complaining in the shop, but nobody cared. Nobody cared, so she like phoned the police and said that. So, and they made a case because the head of the police was in town that days. Like it was like a lottery. I won a lottery. I was like the first of 5 million of people in St. Petersburg who were arrested on this law. And then they saw all my way from cameras. You see, in Russia we have surveillance so great. In every corner there is camera. They are surveilling all our like social networks, and this is not a paranoia. So, and if you do like even a little thing, like do anti-war graffiti or something, you would be arrested because they would see some parts of your road. And if you would like even wear a mask or something, they could find you. And then like some rallies is announced, like the day with the rally, they just go to the people who are organizing this and they just arrested them because they are watching social networks and so on.
But so you knew about the surveillance. You know how tough the government on anyone who speaks out on on the war in Ukraine. Why did you still, despite knowing this, decided to do the action?
I see it wasn't like so great thing for me. Like this price tags, I was thinking like this would be the last thing I would be arrested for. And actually I was relieved when they asked me whether me or not like spread this price tags, because I thought like this would be like, this is easier than like my jamming for peace or my anti-war like tracks and songs I wrote and like performed. So, and it was really, you know, sad to go to jail, not even for my art. You know, that's because, you know, I wasn't hiding because I didn't care. And like this price, these like little things, I didn't like think about surveillance. I didn't hide or something. I just was like putting these price tags in every shop I was going through. I just had it in my pocket and this.
Okay, so you're arrested. What happened next? Can you talk us through?
Oh, to make a long story short, I was arrested. Then they investigated case, and nobody knows what there is to investigate, because I didn't deny I placed these price tags, but the law was like the spreading false information about Russian war, and only thing I denied that this was false. This is not false. Like people are killed, like citizens are killed, and that's the thing.
And then what happens? So you're charged. There are year-long trials going on, and then you're sentenced to 7 years.
Yeah, I was sentenced to 7 years. Nobody knew what to like investigate in this case. Still, I was in detention center for like 2.5 for a year. They investigated this like 5 price tags case. So, and then I was like sentenced with 7 years. And then hopefully like the miracle happened. Like there was like a huge media campaign. I had like many supporters all around the world, and I know that here there are also like my supporters, and because of all people who like stood up for me, I'm free, because I'm not a politician, not some famous person, and I was like only simple person on that plane. So, and the exchange happened, and now I'm living in Berlin, and I'm really happy, like, because people like gave me a chance to be free and to survive, because I could be dead.
So you speak about the support that you felt whilst you were in prison. So did the outer world manage to reach you? And if so, what did you receive? What could you perceive from the outer world outside of the prison?
Outer world?
Outside of the prison.
Yes. It's really simple in Russian jail. You see, like in men's jail, they have like they have like phones and everything, because they cooperating with the police, and they like kind of have a phone but don't complain. Yes, in women jail, this is not like this. And but also a lawyer can bring you news, and also like not many news were like really censored, and so on. Like the information was plenty, but this is exactly my detention center, because everywhere in Russia like the things are going really differently, and this is really depend on a person, on a jail facility, and so on.
And how did it exactly go? So you met with your lawyer, he brought in the letters.
Yeah, he could brought me some letters or some information, but I didn't like bring it with me to camera that often because I was searched. Then I went like outside my camera, and when I just went to my lawyer, like of course they search all the documents because like all the correspondence through lawyer is banned, but they don't like to work much, so they didn't surveil it carefully.
So you say that human connection was sort of possible through playing out the system. Could you have contact with Sonia, for example, or I mean in-person contact? So not only letters, but
yes, like finally after 1 year passed, I was allowed to have meetings with Sonia, and it was like 2 hours, like in a month, like for 1 hour, and then 1 hour, and like the first year they couldn't meet because there was like special request from authority not to make Sonia a witness in my case, because on documents she's no one to me. She's not my spouse, you see. We also couldn't marry in Russia, so and if she like could be my wife, they could allow her to like meet me. Actually, like after my arrest, but they like struggle a year to like had this opportunity.
Yeah, so unfortunately you're not the only artist that was persecuted for speaking up against the war of aggression. So we also campaigned for Artyom Kamardin, who is a poet, and he was reading out a poem, an anti-war poem, in a square in Moscow, and then his house was raided, brutally. They went to his house, beat him, and then they took him to prison. Now he's in prison.
They also raped him.
Yeah. So why?
Why?
Yeah.
Why we don't know the answer on this question, but I think because the system, the policemen see Artyom Kamardin is their personal foe, because Artyom Kamardin was like really insulting, like cops in his poems, which is actually great, but not for them. Actually, that's why things with Artyom is so brutal, because you see like people from the police, they are not like really angry to me, they were not like really brutal with me. They were brutal, but in some, like distant ways, not very direct. They didn't beat me or something, because they personally have nothing against me. But the case of Artyom Kamardin is personal for them. They feel like they're like caste. They feel like they like unique caste. All this like siloviki, like they have like an army of the police, and Putin was hiring like the police like all his years, so they have a great social benefits, like the government could help them with buying an apartment, you see, and they have like greatest medical insurance. They had their pension 15 years earlier, like after 15 years of serving, see? And the pension is great. So that's why they're going to the police and they agree to do any like disgusting stuff the authority telling them, because it's like very stable place. These are just people who want like stability, you see.
So you say that police is involved because of money. So people would do such horrific things just because of money? Isn't there something more? Aren't they believing in the system, who are part of the system?
I personally haven't met a cop who is really supportive about the system. They're just, I'm doing this because I don't want to like be on your place. I'm just like several police officers who were guards in jail. They approached me like with no cameras, and they like one of them like said to me, "Yeah, very proud of you. I would do something similar if I could. And my advice when it all like comes down, you should go abroad as soon as possible." And they're just people. I don't think this is like really right, but who am I like to discuss this? And also, but as you see, like people in Russia ready to go for war, not for ideological reason. You see, this is a plan of Putin, make people like very poor. Like you see, like the main thing that like that very like fashion in Russia is food. You see people crazy about restaurants, about like kitchen shows, because like it's, and they live in poverty, and they really like love money. Because I think even like a poor person who have like no money wouldn't go to war to have this like great money that Putin is offering them. I think like this is a plan to make people so poor when they would lose a sense of reality. So that's why they like don't want like to support like the system, but they support in the system in this hypocrite way and don't speak up, not because they like really love Putin. Because even cops saying to me like, no, this is not like justice in the world. I saw like killers who were given like 4 years and you got 7 for 5 price tags. You see, when I go through the streets and not in my uniform, I could be stopped by the police. Yeah, he told me this myself. And, you know, he said to me, if you want to look suspicious in Russia, you just could turn your head to the police, and I'm trying this. This is what police officer said to me. And he also told me, like in some like really funny way, how like police, when he wasn't in uniform, like tried to like arrest him for drugs he didn't have. And then he said them that he is also an officer, and they like checked it, and then they let him free. The policeman told me this story.
I wanted to ask you about your relation to Russia and how you feel about Russia. And this is sort of personal to me. So my grandmother was born in Moscow before the Second World War. And she has a strong Russian identity. And she lived through the horrors of the Second World War. When the Nazi forces were getting close to Moscow, they were evacuated. They were evacuated to a place where they had no proper shelter, where they had no proper food, and very cold. And in that conditions, my granny's little sister unfortunately passed away. So she has a very, very strong sense of war is bad. War creates suffering. She loves Russia, she loves her city, Moscow, but she can't comprehend how could this happen again. How could Russia start a war against Ukraine? So I wanted to ask how you feel about being Russian. Are you proud of it, or do you even identify as Russian?
Of course, I identify myself as Russian, and because I'm feeling a huge guilt, I shouldn't stop identify myself as Russian. And yes, it's very hard to look in the eyes of Ukrainian people and to speak with them. And this is like the hardest thing ever. Not to tell excuses, not to explain the situation, but just giving in what person like have to say because of what he or she like went through, seeing soldiers on the street speaking Russian. And I think like even like a sound of Russian could be triggering for these people. And yes, this is hard. Even though I was like struggle as I could, but this is the thing I think about collective guilt, that even guiltiest person like don't want to feel guilty. See? And I think it's a common thing because I lived in Russia. I was paying taxes, yes, really little because I prefer not to like work in official jobs. And I didn't have like enough money to rent an apartment, but still I was using public transport, and all this stuff is supporting the system. So, and this is only my opinion.
So you say that you experience a sort of stigma here in Europe?
No.
No, you don't?
No, of course not. No, I experience no stigma in Europe. But when you're talking with Ukrainian people, it's absolutely okay. Then they angry. Because I also have PTSD after jail. And I know you just can't control. And actually this is right. And I'm happy that these people are even like talking with me. And this is a process. This should happen right now. Because if people don't like live through this state of guilt, like nothing happens. This is my opinion.
So when we were driving from the airport to your hotel yesterday, we talked about Russia and was thinking about Russia as an empire. And when you told me that you think of Russia as an empire, my immediate thought was that, oh, empires fall. So do you think that Putin's regime will fall? And if so, when and how? I know it's a huge question.
Okay, let me see. Oh man, the future is foggy. The future is foggy. I cannot foresee it, but the only thing I know that no matter that would happen in Russia, there would be still people who are fighting, even it's like getting scary and scary to fight, and the risks are becoming so big. And there would be amazing artists and poets who are not like governmental, who are just underground, and they would speak truth, because in the times of huge crisis, like these creative powers, they evolving and they are really strong.
So you talked about the similarities between Hungary and Russia, especially regarding the anti-LGBTQ laws that are going.
That's the only similarity so far that I know.
In at least in the level of discussions going on in politics, there are several similarities and also a close tie between Putin's regime and the Hungarian government. And my question would be, you lived in Russia for many years, and you said that the anti-LGBTQ law in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, was the first step. Would you have any tips or anything that we can learn from you to not take that path?
Yes, the general advice is not to stop speak your hearts while risks are not so big, because then the risks would be like to go to jail up to like 7 years, or to lose your like close one in jail. This is like too hard decision to go fearless and to struggle the system. So like do it when it's possible. Yes, this is a step. That's how they was doing this, but Putin was doing it for like long years, and people in Russia, they were not interested neither in human rights, neither in politics. Yes, they just wanted to earn money, to have parties, to have cars, to go on Maldives, and that's how Russians lost it. Before like every corner was stocked with cameras, and before like army of police became like super great. You shouldn't miss this moment, and it started. I think you do not have like these laws that you can sit in jail like for words yet, or you will never have this, but this is like a direction. Like, don't think it's like something that is not connected. This like children protection thing, it's the main Russian propaganda. You see, safety is the main Russian propaganda. Like these fences, like, like protecting children, and by this, purpose, by this like actually great purpose, like to keep children safe. Who in the world like don't want it, because children they are cool, of course, and like people love like the most precious thing in the world. That's why people buy in this propaganda. But you see, the hypocrisy of Putin regime is it's don't care for children at all. We have like houses with orphans in like bad condition. We have children with diseases who are not like really treated well, and they have children in prisons now. They're all also sitting in jail for the words. Yes, we have children, political prisoners, 15 years old, 14 years old, not on the home arrest, sitting in jails. We know one girl who were like sexually assaulted by her cellmates because like policemen said them to do this, and she's 14 years old. That's how like Putin's regime is caring about children, and you must show this stuff to people who are like somehow engaged this Russian propaganda thing. For people that think that like Russian government really caring for children, you should like show them the real picture. These children in jails, like just show them. I think like they don't know the truth. That's why they believe it. Even not so many people in Russia really believe propaganda, but they're like too scary not to believe it and to like argue with this. in jail I actually met like about like 3 women who were like ideologically like supporters of Putin and the war. The rest of people were like telling me, why did you ruin your life because of this thing? Everyone knows this, but you should not speak up because it is dangerous. That's the main thing. And here, and I couldn't believe that here in Europe there are people who could believe this propaganda, but I think like the most influence is in Europe, because people don't see Russia itself and they just think like this picture is true. I think that's why they believe it.
So what I wanted to ask is you started to talk about speaking outside of your bubble. So you said you were speaking to people who were supporter of Putin in prison. I was thinking like, how much can you actually have a good conversation with people who think very differently maybe? Or are they actually thinking differently?
Yeah, you see, this is an interesting thing that I discovered in jail, that when you arguing with someone, actually you could not like prove your point, because like the person with whom you are like arguing or even debating, he or she would like stick to her or his point like even like stronger. But when a person I didn't start that kinds of conversation with people. Like they approached me and they asked me about this, and they were like talking some pro-Putin stuff, but yet again I met like only 3 of them. And then I wouldn't argue with them. I would like take a deep breath and say, like, very gentle and very polite, you see, I don't really share your opinion and I don't understand it at all, but I respect this. Even I lied about this, but it really make a great trick, because in this very moment, person like wouldn't like yell at me or something, and she or he would like, I think I also like respect your opinion. So you see, and there wouldn't be like arguing, and even person also can like say something, yeah, and like the army support is not so great, so and something, something like this. But when you like appealing to like this arguing part of the person, he or she like wouldn't like really communicate with you. And you see, when people see you living like by your values, you've been like kind to people, you've been supporting to people, you like being supported by many people, you have like a partner who loves you, you have many friends. And if this person who are ideologically different, but he or she sees it through months, like this recognition and this conversation is like beginning, and you can influence people more with just kindness. It's not a metaphor. When I talking only about like close conversation, only close conversation, and sometimes they like just asking me, and what's the real news? Because they kind of didn't believe the television, but they still were watching it, but they say, oh, that's a lie, all of this is a lie.
On that note, I want to open the discussion, and if you have a question, please raise your hand, and I'll give you the mic. are there any questions about Sasha's life, artwork, anything?
That's okay. Thank you very much for coming. I'm sorry you spoke in English because I would like to replace Russian language into the right place and not as a language of the empire. But let's continue in English.
You can say it in your native language, and
I understand, but I can ask in English.
Thank you.
So a little question. At the beginning, it was said that you changed the price tags at the grocery store. I remember reposting your tags on Facebook. I have found it on internet, and it was shown that it is a fashion shop. So you changed the tags on clothes. It is not right.
No, I think this is like
someone else.
It is disinformation. Because there are like many disinformation in my case. Like in every interview, I'm saying wasn't like my action. I didn't invent like these like texts on price tags. I didn't invent a maquia, but I participated. There are like many people who were like doing this, but I was like the first one who were arrested with a criminal charge. That's why I said that like I was said like going to prison, not even for my art. And like right now, like everyone thinks that I did it, and everyone like asked me how did I came up with this brilliant idea to do the price tags. This person who made a maquia is anonymous because this person is still in Russia. And it's really.
Can you quote one of the text you put on the price tag?
One of the text, like the one was found like 400 of civilian people were hiding in art school in Mariupol from Russian bombing. For example, like this, or like Putin is lying to us from television screens for like 20 years. Like, you know, my investigator said like, oh, but everyone knows it. What's new? So, and also there were, I'm sorry, I have PTSD, that's why it's like
no problem.
Like went from my head. Also there was price tags with numbers of people who like died on war or on war from Russian side, because like this was an important message to like talk with the people, like not only through like war like is bad, because they kind of don't understand this. Maybe they could appeal to like the like Russian like men that are fighting and so on, like you go through this like way to like tell people who are like Putin supporters this war is not great, that like not experienced like young people are like kept to war activities even they like didn't want to, and also yeah, something like this.
Thank you.
You can read, check on the internet. Yes, it was mostly about, because I actually need to like translate it in Russian and so on, and I heard it so many times in my court.
I see. And maybe one more question: what opportunity in Berlin you have now for making art or continue your so-called normal life?
Yes, I have really great opportunities, because like Germany was a country who like invited us, who was like the first country of our destination. I mean, like this political exchange. And of course, I wanted to stay there because like Berlin is like really artistic city, and I have like great support from like human rights defenders, LGBTQ organization which is working with LGBTQ immigrants, and also right now have some stipendship for doing my graphic novel. I'm doing like a huge graphic novel about all my experience with the jail and with political exchange, and now I'm getting funds for like doing this, and this is so great because in Russia we didn't have support from government at all. Yeah, they could support someone, but if you like draw generals on the horses, I think you could get some fundings in Russia, but not for like honest artistic work. And in Germany we have this, and also I participated in many exhibitions, do my performance, and this is kind of cool. It's like the best life I could live, like, and the best thing in it is like freedom.
I think there was a question right there. If you could pass the mic.
Thank you. I'm Ferenc. There are rumors that Putin is ill and he gets medical treatments and so on and so on. What's your opinion? Would it change anything, the war, the regime in Russia, if he would pass away?
And yet again, like the future is very foggy. We have many myths about like Putin and his life, because he is really precautious about all information, all personal information that is in media about him. And if you really want to know something about him, there is like a new big investigation by Yuri Badanin. They did like really big research on Putin's personal stuff, and they did a book. Unfortunately, it's in Russian, but maybe it would be like translated, because it shed like all the light on like these secrets and this stuff. You think maybe it's true and maybe not, and then you read this book. It is. No, personally, I don't think when Putin passed away, like many things would change. War, maybe, but there would be so many angry and sadistic people who would return after war, like killers, rapists, and I think it would be like in 90s. In 90s wasn't like this, not because the Soviet Union broke up, because people came from Afghanian war, and we had this like criminal country, and then Putin, and I don't think it would be safe place for decades with Putin or without Putin. But I don't know, I hope like all this empire would be broken, that all the regions in Russia which are like Putin's government trying to like get rid of all the unique cultures, all the unique languages in the regions of Russia. I hope like the regional movement would rise greater and empire would broke up like forever.
Just one more. Do you think it would be a big fight for power, or his successor would be chosen by him, or?
No, I wouldn't answer this question. I don't know. You should read something on him. I think there are many research now about his figure, and I think it's really interesting, because it's like a chance to like observe and surveil him. Like, hey, I know about you something personal. So you can read about it, and I personally couldn't give you an answer.
Anyone else? Okay, I have a question too, but...
You want to steal a microphone?
Yeah.
I have a question. So, in the beginning of this conversation, you said that... I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous.
No, it's okay. Me too.
Yeah, that you believe that everyone in Russian who think that something wrong have to do something with it. So I am from Russia. I am from Yekaterinburg, and obviously I thought that something was wrong because a lot of things happened recently, and I left country, like I got this opportunity to leave country to study here in Europe, in Budapest. So I moved 2 months ago. I'm a first year student here in Budapest, and in my high school, a lot of propaganda were in the streets, and I know that a lot of like little girls were raped in my city. And there are a lot of soldiers. I saw soldiers on my playground without legs and everything with this big Russian flag. So I saw a lot of propaganda, and my whole life, like almost my whole life, I wanted to leave the country because I wanted to live my life, and I understood that if I just post something or do something, if I say something, I don't agree with my friends or some people who support this regime, who say that war is good, because I don't support it, and I am against violence, I'm against the war, I am against the whole regime. I don't think that it's right. And I just understood that if I start to do something, and I'm so, like, I was underage and I was in high school, so I would go straight to prison or I would be killed. And I actually also posted some things like some anti-war, like foreign spies, musicians and bands and everything, because I just can't live without these things. I just wanted to post some things, but still I understand that I can go straight to prison for some of my actions. And I know that, for example, my parents are also in danger because I also have a part-time job, but still my mom has to send me like some money for apartment and so on. And I wanted to ask you, how do you think, like you said that Russians who think that something is wrong, they should do something. What do you think like I can do? How can I help? Because I always feel so helpless, because there are so many soldiers, and this situation was everywhere around me in Russia. So I don't really know like what exactly can I do, because I feel so hopeless. And also maybe you heard about this news that recently Russia also bombed Poland. And at that day I also like talked with my friends, and I felt that so much that when it happened, it wasn't like in Ukraine, it wasn't even surprising, because we are so hopeless. We lose like all our hope and some feelings, you know. And for me now, I don't know like what should I do? How can I help? How can I do this situation so my parents would be safe and so on? So my question is, what do you think I should do to help? What do you think I can do in this situation? Because I am Russian and I see that something is wrong.
Okay, I see. This is a really, really hard question right now, because like realizing the circumstances, no Russian could like tell like other Russian like, hey, go and protest. You could be like dead, but hey, go. Why not? Even me like was in jail, like, hey, like go in jail like me. No, because I said like you in Hungary, here, you should fight while it's possible, while you don't get like 7 years for this, while you can like just pay the fine or just, you know, day at the police station. I know this is hard, but the further it gets, the scary it would be. And this is a personal choice. And in Russia, to protest is a choice of fearless, of people who have like nothing to lose. There are still heroes in Russia. Yes, they are. But these are only people who are like have nothing to lose. Because you should be really mad to do something like this in Russia. And first of all, I'm like really glad that you are here. That you are here and you are safe, and it's really hard to worry for your parents and all this stuff that they could use, like, you know, banned social networks or like just call you through some like services they shouldn't like use. I don't even imagine how scared you are, because I have my mom in France with my sister, and I have like no relatives or really closest friend left in Russia. So personally, I don't know, but what can you do here to tell people these stories that you like told like today? You should speak with people. You should speak with people who are like think Russian peace is like cool. I think you could do things there, but be careful. This is my only advice. And just follow your heart. This is like the only answer in every case.
Okay, thank you so much. Спасибо большое.
Thank you.
Any other last questions? Yes, please. If you could pass the mic.
How much did Russian media talk about you and your case?
Oh, this is a really interesting question, because Russian media, Russian governmental video and television said about me like literally nothing. Because there is no way to like present my story for the people, like to make them feel that it was right. So even then I was exchanged. Like they like just briefly said my name, and they said something like I have like 2 citizenship or something like this. And even we have this big propaganda man Solovyov, and in his propagandist like video after exchange, he was like talking about all the people who were in plane, and then he got to my synonym. He was, who is Sasha Skochilenko? So they are like hiding my personality, because I am like clearly not something that is going right.
Thank you. So as I begin the discussion, I wanted to end with some activity together that we could do to end this rather difficult discussion.
Yeah, I already did it. It was amazing.
So unfortunately, this Russian-style clampdown on civil society, on artists and activists is not limited to Russia at all. It's also present in other post-Soviet states and former satellite states. And Georgia is a terrible example of that. In Georgia, in the last 2 years, something almost unprecedented went through. The democratic backsliding there is unimaginable. For years now, for over a year now, massive protests have been taking place against the government authoritarian move, the legislative overreach, and even election fraud. The government's response to that, to these protests, is violence, arbitrary arrests, and deeply flawed proceedings. Something you also see in Russia. And I'd like to play a short video for you, if you can, which I would like to watch together.
ეს სცენა გაჩერებულია 3 თვეან ზუსტად. გავჩერდით მას შემდეგ, რაც ანდრო დაიჭირეს. და ეს არის რაღაცა გარკვეული სოლიდარობა ჩვენი თეატრის. თამაშობდა ბევრ სერიალებში, თამაშობდა ბოლოში ქართულ კინოში თუ კი რამე გაკეთებულა ყველგან. რა ვიცი, მე მგონი მაგითო. ძალიან ძნელია ეგრე ილაპარაკო, მაგრამ ეს არის ალბათ ერთ-ერთი საუკეთესო ადამიანი, ვინც კი მე პირადად ცხოვრებაში შემხედრია. მაგრამ მე მგონია, რომ მალე გაიხსება აქაურობა. იმიტომ რომ სხვა გამოსავალი არ არის, სიმართლე უნდა გავიმარჯვოს.
So, unfortunately, since this video was taken, Andrew was sentenced to 2 years in prison. His son is 4-year-old. He doesn't fully understand what prison means. His mother tells him that he's in a play whose ending is uncertain. I would like you to take a moment and take the postcards that you have with you. This is with Andrew's child's drawing, and please write something that gives power to both the family and Andrew himself. And I have a message from Andrew actually that he sent us 2 weeks ago. I am incredibly grateful to Amnesty International for everything they have done so far. It was all beyond my imagination. Their publication, videos, the London Film Festival. Knowing that people across the world stand with me gives me great strength. Even here, behind the walls. Every message, every post, every event matters more than you can imagine. They remind me the truth still has allies. It is solidarity like this that turns unbearable into something survivable. So please help Andrew and make his life in prison survivable by writing him something or just drawing something. And if you can, please sign our petition by the door. We are trying to push for a retrial for Andrew's case. We have very short time. A retrial is only possible until March, so we'd greatly appreciate your support. And I would like to thank you, Sonia, Sasha, for taking the time and coming here, and Sonia as well for helping organizing
for
everything.
carrying me here, because it's too hard for me. She do all our logistics, on my management. I love you.
And thank you for coming here. And please just leave the letters by the table outside. And thank you so much.
It's for you.